I'm almost ready to go back together. The last thing I want to do is retouch everything that I touched. I torqued these down. I put these new seals in, O-rings for those. I also wiped those channels inside and out clean, and the dowels. I'm going to do one last time, check my seal area, wipe it down with brake cleaner, wipe this down with brake cleaner. I cleaned off these orifices. They had some calcium buildup from coolant. Make sure everything in here is oil free for when we put the seal on. Next, we will do the new seal for the water pump. I have applied RTV gasket sealant to the ridges of the gasket housing for the water pump. Various places, it doesn't have to be a lot. This is only to hold the gasket in place. This is by no means to make sure the gasket will seal better. This is a watertight seal. We want the rubber to do the sealing job, not the RTV. Gasket is now in for the water pump. Make sure your hands are free from oil, residue, debris. Wear gloves. Honestly, I washed my hands and then put this in. Any oil, dust will interfere with the sealing properties of this gasket. I'm gonna let that sit for a second, get tacky, make sure it holds onto that seal. In the meantime, I'm going to inspect the mating surface for the seal on the water pump itself. There's a little bit of debris, residue, oily. I'm going to wipe it down with brake cleaner again, make sure I don't have any issues so that we'll seal properly. Reinstallation of your cover and your water pump. I put my gasket on first, use the dowels to hold it up, and then very gently put my cover on. There is a little bit of fitment issue. When you get to the water pump, what you'll want to do is gently wiggle it back and forth to make sure it fits inside the gear for the water pump itself. Once you do, you'll feel it solidly engage and the cover will go on flush. Gentle, no forcing. Don't force anything with this. This is a gentle procedure. Be patient, take your time. Eventually, when you get it on, you'll see that it is flush all the way around. And when you try to move your water pump, you won't be able to. It is fully engaged. Water pump reinstalled. Remember those dowels that we used? Helps you guide this on. I chose to put the hose fittings on first, gently and loose, so that when I am able to put this back on, it slides in straight, and it did just that for me. Okay, so I would continue to put the bolts in. Don't forget those two bolts that we talked about earlier, the shorter ones specifically for the water pump housing. The rest of the bolts can go in. We will start our torquing procedure for the cover. Covers are on, pumps on, torque time. I am set to 12 Newton meters, 108 inch-pounds. The manual for Haynes does not clearly state what these flange bolts should be. Looking through forums, 9 foot-pounds, 108 inch-pounds, 12 Newton meters. I'm going to go from the inside out in a crisscross fashion. So the insides and then expand out. Clutch cover on, torqued. 2 bolts gave, snapped, under 9 pounds of torque. This stuff happens, budget bike, budget problems. Hopefully it's not anything I have to worry about in the long run. Radiator reinstalled. This hose clamp is put back on. This hose is put back on. This hose is put back on and tight. There's a mounting bolt 1 and 2 10mm right over here. There is a third 8mm right over here, and then this hose as well. Time to fill this sucker. 4.1 quarts of oil go in this bike. I'm gonna put 4 in, probably exactly. And then we'll check our level and start the bike. Now we fill the radiator. The Haynes manual states that this bike is self-bleeding. Therefore, you fill it up to get to the top, start and run the bike, rev it a little bit, let the reservoir fill up, let this fill up, and then check your coolant level from here, from the cap, Make sure everything is topped off. You should be able to bleed the system pretty quickly before the bike is fully warmed up. When you start your bike, there's going to be a fair amount of smoke coming from what you've done. Coming from oil, coming from antifreeze. Just double check. Make sure you're paying attention to the bike while it's running. Initially, that is the most important. Big congratulations to you if you completed your clutch swap replacement. That was a big job. Hopefully everything came together and you're out riding.